I failed at YouTube for 5 years over 4 channels. Then I made around $100,000 on just one channel. Look, I know $100,000 might not sound crazy to some people, but for me, this was life-changing because I had failed so many times that I actually started believing maybe YouTube just wasn't for me. And for years, I thought success was about one thing: make good content, work hard, eventually you'll get noticed. That's not how it works. What I learned instead was way more specific and kind of weird. So let me break down what actually made the difference. All right, so this first one is going to sound strange, but stay with me. When I started Channel 5, I did something different. Before uploading anything, I went through and connected every old email account I could find to my YouTube channel. I'm talking emails from 2015 that I barely even remember the password to. Then I linked my Instagram, my Twitter, basically anything that showed I existed before that channel. And I know what you're thinking, why would that matter? Well, Channel 5 was the first time I tried this, and it got monetized in 32 days. Meanwhile, Channel 6, which I started around the same time with a fresh email and no social links, took 4 months to even get traction. Same type of content, same upload schedule, completely different results. I can't 100% prove this is why, but here's my theory. YouTube is dealing with thousands of spam channels every day. The algorithm needs to know you're a real person, not some bot network. So when you have an email with years of history, social accounts with real followers, even if it's just like 200 people, it's proof. And the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. If you were YouTube and you had to decide between promoting a channel connected to a 10-year-old email versus an account created yesterday, which would you trust? Now, does this guarantee success? No, but it might give you a head start. And when you're starting from zero, every advantage matters. Okay, so now thumbnails. I used to spend literal hours on these things. I'd add drop shadows, adjust the saturation, try different fonts. I wanted them to look professional, and they performed terribly. Then I watched a video where someone said, your thumbnail should work like a billboard. If you can't read it while driving past at 60 miles per hour, it's too complicated. So I tested it. I made a thumbnail, showed it to my friend for 3 seconds, then hit it. I asked him what the video was about. He had no idea. That's when I realized I was designing thumbnails for graphic designers, not viewers. So I simplified everything. One of my best performing videos, the one that got like 5 million views, had the simplest thumbnail. Just a simple Minecraft castle with grass blocks as background. That's it. No fancy effects. No complex background. But here's what I learned. It wasn't just about being simple. The thumbnail needed to make people feel something, and then get curious about the story. Emotion plus curiosity. That's the formula. My old thumbnails had information. My new thumbnails have emotion. And the difference in click-through rate was honestly shocking. Now, every time I make a thumbnail, I do the 3-second test. If someone can't tell me what the video is about and feel curious about it, I start over. All right, so this point took me the longest to figure out, and it's probably the most important. Channel 2 was a disaster. I was making gaming commentary videos, just generic gameplay with jokes. I uploaded consistently for 6 months. I got 287 subscribers, and I couldn't understand why. My editing was decent. My audio was clear. I thought I was doing everything right. Then I realized I was making content in a niche where YouTube already had thousands of channels doing the exact same thing, and they were doing it better. Why would the algorithm promote me when it already had proven creators? But here's where it gets interesting. For this channel, I tried something nobody else was doing. I combined Minecraft with improvement advice for young people. And I know that sounds random, but think about it. Gaming content, completely oversaturated. Improvement advice, same thing. But gaming content that actually teaches you about improvement, that's a gap. I'm not saying it's the only way to succeed. You can definitely make it in popular niches. But you need to either be significantly better than the competition or find an angle that hasn't been done yet. For me, finding that gap was easier than trying to outcompete Mr. Beast. And honestly, this is something I see newer creators mess up all the time. They pick the most competitive niches and then wonder why their great content isn't getting views. Sometimes it's not about quality. It's about positioning. Next point really frustrated me for a long time. About 2 years ago, I made this video that I thought was going to be huge. I spent 3 weeks on it. I researched everything, wrote a detailed script, edited it perfectly. It got about 200 views. Meanwhile, one of my recent videos that took me maybe 12 hours to make got around 150,000 views. And that made no sense to me until I realized I was confusing effort with value. Just because I spent more time on something doesn't mean it's what people actually want to watch. The 3 weeks video. It was in the wrong niche, had a boring title. And honestly, even though the editing was great, the concept wasn't interesting. The 12-hour video, right niche, clear title, interesting concept. And this is where I think a lot of YouTube advice is actually kind of misleading. People say quality over quantity. And while that's true, quality doesn't mean spending hundreds of hours. Quality means understanding what your audience actually wants and delivering that in a watchable way. My biggest videos aren't my most polished videos. They're my most relevant videos. So now when I'm planning content, I spend way more time on the idea and the title than I do on perfecting the editing. Because if the concept doesn't work, it doesn't matter how good the editing is. Last thing, and this is something I still struggle with sometimes, is titles. I used to try to be clever. Like, I'd make a title that was a play on words or had some inside joke, and nobody clicked. Now my approach is way simpler. The title needs to tell people exactly what they're getting and why it matters. Bad title, my insane Minecraft journey. Better title, I survived 100 days in hardcore Minecraft. Here's what it taught me about risk. The second one isn't clever, but it's clear. You know what the video is, and you know why it might be interesting to you. What I do now is I write the title before I even start filming. And if I can't think of a title that makes me want to click, I don't make the video. Because honestly, if I can't figure out why someone would want to watch it, how is anyone else supposed to? And look, some of my titles still flop. But at least now I know they're failing. Because the concept wasn't interesting. Not because people didn't understand what the video was about. So yeah, that's it. 7 years, 6 channels, way too many failures. This is what actually worked for me. Connect your old accounts. Simplify your thumbnails. Find a gap instead of competing. Focus on the idea more than the editing. Write clear titles. Is this guaranteed to work? I don't know. It worked for me, but your situation might be different. Anyway, if you found any of this helpful, it would genuinely mean a lot if you subscribed. I'm still figuring this whole thing out, but I want to share what's working. All right, that's it. Go make something.